Good morning, brothers and sisters. Yan, okay. Okay, good morning. I am going to give the talk on the love approach, which was introduced to you by our sister Ochi. But before I do, I'd like to put us in the right perspective. I don't think the good Bishop Bacani would mind if I share this story that he gave a few months back. And this is what he said. He was one day, he was about to go to Quiapo Church to hear Mass. But before he went for Mass, he was going around Plaza Miranda. And he was going to check out some of the icons that are being sold, yung Santo Niño and all that. So he went to one area and saw the Santo Niño and was looking over it. He was just in his polo barong, so he wasn't in a clerical collar, so you wouldn't know that he was a priest. So when he went there and was checking it out, there was this lady selling the icons who brought out some bottles with all these roots and herbs and told him, I'll say it in the vernacular, Manong, gusto niyo ho ba ng pampalaglag? Sabi kay Bishop. Sabi niya gano'n, ha? Ano yan? Katabi ng iyong mga Santo Niño, yung pagpapalaglag, nakatago. Tapos sabi niya nung babae, oho, hindi ba masama magpalaglag? And then this lady who was selling it said, hindi ho, dugo pa lang ho yun eh. Yun ang sinabi. And then the bishop said, dugo. Bakit ang tawag natin pagbuntis ang babae, nagdadalang tao? Ba't hindi natin tinatawag nagdadalang dugo? Di ba? So, sabi niya ganon, nung babae, nakaramdam siguro. And then the lady said, pareho kayo? Yung ganon. So, I'm sharing this story with you because this is really actually going on in the Philippines and in the world today. They do not know the difference. Imagine selling the icon of the Santo Niño and all the saints, and together with it, mga pampalaglag. Okay? So this is why it is very important at this point in our lives, in the Philippines and in the world, where family and life is really being attacked very, very strongly more than ever. I believe this is as a fact. Agree? Andiyan na yung RH bill na pinupush. It's really being pushed like hell, no? Yeah, and then, okay, let's be let's be kind. So, it's really being pushed. And then we have same-sex marriages now. I think you've seen that Starbucks, where our children and we ourselves go to quite often, is supporting the same-sex marriage bill or something in the U.S. And they've already claimed that they are supporting it. And so many other things that we are supporting. We also have common now, I have a 22-year-old daughter, and she keeps telling me, Mom, my friends are into casual sex. And that's fine, no big deal. So sabi ko, wow, this is really happening. So more than ever, we need what we call safety nets or areas that will help these women, all right, who will be caught in this, especially if things like this get legalized. They would need the help and the support because they might even be coerced to have an abortion or to do other things. And this, I believe, is very important. Now, Heartbeat International and as early as the late 60s, I think, have started developing pregnancy centers. Okay, and these pregnancy centers are community-based and life-affirming centers to take on these women and these families who would need support and help during these times of crisis. Okay, so dito sa Pilipinas, we also have that. That's why we have PSSA doing really lots of work. We've been here for the past 10 years, right? All right. And the work, of course, is slow but sure because of the mindset of people around us. So we are very grateful with the Family and Life Apostolate of the parishes that have also helped take this on. So this is where we are at. And one very important approach to these women in these centers is the love approach, which Ochi has briefly introduced already this morning. Now, yung love approach na ito, it's very adaptable. It doesn't have to, you don't have to have a PhD to be able to give it. As Ochi said, you just have to have the commitment and the love that you would like to share with these women and families who are in need. And that's the very, very bottom line of the love approach. Just have that heart to help. Just have that love and commitment to fight for family and life, and you've got it. Okay? So let's start with the love approach itself. I will try to be as brief as I can and capture the whole process of the love approach. Now, if you need further training, this really requires further training. Yung training na to, we'll capture it in an hour. But the training can go on and on and on. Now, you can ask PSSA for help to train in the love approach. And I think Heartbeat International also has an online love approach training, I believe so. So you can get further information from there. Okay. Tama ba? Now, there are 4 steps to the love approach. 4 steps. It's an acronym, kaya nga love, no? By the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to say that the love approach was developed by Peggy Hartshorn, who is with, with Heartbeat International. So she developed this so that it will really be adaptable and can be used by anyone who has the heart for it. So it's an acronym for listen and learn as the first step. And when we talk about listening and learning, this is the first thing you must do with a client. Just like in anything, if there is a person or a woman in crisis, she will come to you, and the first thing that she will really ask is just for somebody to listen. Kayo rin, di ba? When you're in trouble, you don't want to hear words. You just want somebody to listen. And that is the very, very essence of loving, right? And then, focus on her and her situation. Don't focus on the peripherals. Like, ako, out of wedlock ba to? Buntis ba to? May pera ba to? Kaya ba? Huwag mo na munang isipin yun. Just focus on her and the situation that she is in so that she will understand where she is coming from. Give her your total attention. When they come to you, sit down with them, look them in the eye, and focus on that person. Hindi yung, naku, ang tagal naman ng sharing nito. Magluluto pa ako. Sunduin ko pa yung anak ko. That can't be, no? Focus on her. That's very, very important. Ask good questions to draw her out. Remember, a woman in this situation may clam up, may not know what to say because she's full of emotions. So you need to learn how to draw things from her that she, at a point that she will not be threatened at all. Okay, of course, you can do that only if you develop trust. And from the relationship, form a relationship without jumping into giving her advices or solutions to her problems. In counseling, there is a DSWD person here who's into counseling who asked a question earlier. That's a no-no, remember? Diba, no? You don't give answers to your counselee. Make them go through the process of problem solving, and you just guide them along the way. All right. The next step is the O, open options. Only after you have listened and develop a relationship with that woman who comes to you, with that girl who comes to you? Are you able to examine? You examine her options. Get it from her. Anong options mo? Buntis po ako. So anong pinaplano mong gawin? O anong balak mo? Ano ang nararamdaman mo? Ngayong dala-dala mo yan. Things like this. We are the choices that, what are the choices that the client has, as I've mentioned? What are the pros and cons of those choices? A client will come to you and tell you, Ma'am, kasi ho sabi nung boyfriend ko, dapat ipalaglag ko na ito because we're not ready for it. So I will have to go through an abortion. That's what my boyfriend says. That's also what my mother says. Because it's so embarrassing, especially among Filipino families, it still exists, no? The stigma of being pregnant without a spouse is still very, very strong, whatever you say. Pag-uusapan ka pa rin ng kapitbahay, diba? Neighbors will still be talking about you when they see that you're pregnant out of wedlock. How workable or realistic and good, okay, are they for the client? Yung options niya. Are they realistic? Mag-a-abroad na lang ho ako. Realistic ba yun? Nasolve mo ba ang problema mo? Magtatago na lang ho ako sa probinsya. Realistic ba yun? Natumbok mo ba yung problema pag yun ang binigay na solusyon o option ng bata? Alright? Next, we have vision and value. The V part. In this step, sometimes combined or intertwined with the O, with the options, the helper introduces a new and healthier vision for the client. Okay? So, mag-i-introduce ka na dun sa pagdating ng V. Medyo, you're going to mold, reconfigure the values that she has of herself. She needs to start feeling that she's loved, that she's important, that this is not a punishment from God, but that God is still a merciful and loving God. That should still be introduced to that client, to that girl. All right? Helpers see paths that the client perhaps has never considered, options that she might not even have thought of. This is where we provide those options to her, but the choice is still hers, of course. The helper also helps the client see that she is worthy of that vision. Ano yung plano? That she is worthy of that plan. She's worthy as a person of that value that we put to her as a very important human being loved by God. Okay? That is a very difference, because I do counseling too, but the very difference of the love approach is it's based on love and it is faith-based. I think Ochi was able to discuss why it is faith-based, unlike the usual generic counseling techniques that we use. Okay, the E stands for extend and empower. At the end of the interview with the client, the helper lays out a plan. So magpaplano silang dalawa. They will plan, both the client and the helper plan, and then that is presented before the child, before the woman, and then they discuss it, and then they make concrete, realistic, and faith-based plans. Okay, this can give the client the kind of support that she needs. More than anything else, ayaw niya ng tokis-tokis. Gusto lang niyan may suporta. Alam niya na may nagmamahal sa kanya at alam niyang may aalalay sa kanya in the process. Okay, let's go into the first one. Listen and learn. L. All right. What do we do here? Okay, since it's faith-based, everything we do, every step we take in the love approach is based on Scripture, based on God's teaching. That's why we're doing it. Hindi ito type ko to mag-listen. Type ko ganito. This is all faith-based. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion. Cute, no? 2 ears. So you use your ears more than you use your mouth. That's very, very important when you do the love approach and when you counsel these women who come to you. I beg your indulgence, masyado maliit yung font, no? So, mea culpa. Sorry. All right. It is important in most situations to talk to the client individually because she may not open up with her parents or her boyfriend in the room. This is very important when you listen to your client. Unang-una, pagdating niya, talk to her one-on-one, not with the boyfriend around. Na baka, gusto ko nga ikip tapos namumulagat yung mata ng boyfriend na ganyan sa tabi. Ikikip. Ano ikikip? Di ba? Yung ganon. So, you just have to be beside your client, in front of your client rather than beside, face to face, and then listen. Now, just listen. And then observe everything from the non-verbal to the verbal cues that you see. Pwedeng nagagaganyan ng kamay o yung tissue paper napunit na ng andaming beses. What is that significant of or what does that tell you? Or medyo, nga ho ninenervous nga ho ako pero relax na relax. Hindi siya tugma, di ba? Alright? So these things you need to observe. Alright? It is important to have good listening skills. This you can develop further if you will go through training. We cannot touch on this anymore. Pag talagang training on the love approach, you will be given practices or talks on developing your listening skills. But as we are here now, and then a situation presents itself, just remember, listen, okay? And observe that person you're listening to. Your goal should be to develop a full picture of your client. Who is this client before me? It's very, very important for you to be able to help her through the other steps of the love approach. All right. How do you develop that picture? Identify her needs. Ano ba mga pangangailangan nito? Sama. Ano bang kailangan nitong woman na ito? Alright? Pwedeng yung physical, emotional, intellectual, and social needs of this individual before you. Alright? So this is a woman who comes to you with so many questions. So many whys, what, wherefores, how. Alright? And this you need to answer. So develop a picture of your client physically. Diba? Kumusta ba yung kanyang physical needs niya? Does he have an overall healthy, yung parang healthy well-being niya, no? Healthy ba siya? Or makita mo, payat na, butulado na. So check on that. See if she's physically well because it will have repercussions on the plans that you will have for her. Try to see about her financial resources. Okay? Kaya bang manganak nito? Baka yung simpleng ganun, hindi nga niya magawa, di ba? Emotionally, check whether she has a sense of being loved, sense of being rejected, things like this. Check those out. And intellectually, does she have the capacity to understand, to comprehend, and to appreciate everything that you are going to be talking about? And will she be able to comprehend the value that God has put to her body when you explain those things to her? Kaya ba niya? And of course, social. How is her relationship with her parents, with a boyfriend, with a peer group, etc.? And spiritually, does she have a sense of being loved by God? Does she appreciate that? Or does she know God really as a loving, helping, merciful God? Or she has no idea of God at all? Baka ngayon lang niya narinig ang Diyos. Or maybe her concept of God is a punishing God. I did something wrong and God will punish me. Alright? So these are things that you need to understand further. What are her strengths? Aside from her needs, check out her strengths. Also, on the different realms of her being, her intellectual strengths, what are her physical strengths, etc. Okay? So, marami din yan. Question niya. So, let's go. I'll just run through it for time management. Physical, is she in good health? Is she adequately housed? No, may housing ba siya? May finances ba siya? Baka strength niya yun, di ba? Okay. Now, emotionally, etc. Same thing. All this area should be assessed while you're listening to her and trying to find out the whole picture of the client who comes before you. Ayan. Areas of awareness. This is very, very important. And you will get all this if you have good listening and communication skills. And we will not discuss that anymore because that takes training. Rene and Lily are here. You just call on them if you need training on that. All right? So we have thoughts. Baka yung mga sinasabi niya, I don't have any other alternatives. I don't know what I will do. I want to kill myself, di ba? I know I cannot take care of this baby because I know I'll be a bad mother. All right, things like this, the thoughts that she may have in her mind, find out. And you can more or less elicit this better if you use open-ended questions. If you use open-ended questions and when you focus on the feeling, ano naman naramdaman mo no nilayasan ka ng boyfriend mo? Things like this. And then that's when she will be able to express it. You feel you are not loved, so itutuloy niya yun. And then take note of all of those. Okay, feelings of I'm scared, I'm confused, I'm unsure. Right? Ano yung wants niya? Ano yung values niya? Ito, this is very common for those who have counseled some women, especially those who are working women. I value my independence. If I have a baby that's going to upset, all right, the day-to-day activities that I have, so I don't need a baby right now. Mga ganyan, no? Ganyan yung maririnig mo. Or, for naman the poor women, I cannot afford a baby now. Wala na akong ipakakain. Saan ako kukuha? May wala kang akong pagtutulugan na niyan. These are things that will come to you. Alright? And as a helper, using the love approach, you have to help that person see herself, see her integrity as a person and as a child of God. Kasi she's full of emotions, mixed emotions yan. Alright, and her beliefs, of course. This is very important. Things like, God does not exist, because if He did, this wouldn't happen to me. Sinisipan Diyos, no? Di ba? Alright. So all of these things, you put them together. Her needs, her strengths, her awareness, her values, put them together so you will be able to identify as a helper, ano issue dito? Ano ang talagang tutumbukin kong issue dito so I can help this client better? Okay? She needs help and she needs just someone to be there to listen to her. Okay? Yan lang ang kailangan niya. Okay. Now, these are just techniques, no? Skills, techniques that you can do to better get information from her and understand her. You have to be attentive to the client, as I've said, verbal and nonverbal cues. I gave that already. Simple example, so for good order. And then bring an awareness of her body language and nonverbals. This is more important, especially for women in crisis who come before you. Hindi yan, they will come parang nakacamouflage yan. Alright, so you need to remove that that facade slowly and understand where they're coming from. And usually the nonverbal cues are the ones that define it. Asking open-ended questions, I gave you some examples already earlier. And clarifying and interpreting as she talks to you. So do not give value judgments to things that she says. Alright? Like, I'm afraid, takot ho ako eh. Hindi ka maano na, kasi yung konsepto mo, takot siya dahil nahihiya siya, takot siya, yung pala takot siya dahil hindi niya alam na kung paano yung sakit ng panganganak. Yung pala, di ba? Hindi pala siya takot sa boyfriend niya o sa nanay niya. Things like this that you need to clarify with them. Alright? So you don't do value judgments, you ask them where they're coming from. And watching for statements that show contradiction, etc. So I've mentioned earlier, hindi ko, nervous nga ako, pero relax na upo, di ba? Alright. We go to the O now. Alright. Planting the seed is not passive, it is active. So when you plant seeds or the options that are available to your client who comes to you for help, alright, show them all these different options. Baka hindi lang niya alam, kaya hindi niya alam anong gagawin niya. It is when you are intervening to meet the client's immediate need that you will begin opening options to her. Clients with whom you open options might be described as being at a crossroad. So hindi nila alam, which path do I take? My mommy says this, my boyfriend says this, the priest says this, my neighbors say this, I don't know what to follow. So naloka-loka na siya, hindi na niya alam kung ano bang gagawin ko. So for clients with a positive test, ito yung positive na yung pregnancy test nila, no? Confirm na siya. Now, those who have confirmed pregnancies already. Then we have those with a negative test. All right, now you must also be prepared to give options. Hindi porket negative. Uy, negative ka naman eh. All right, kasi uulit yan. Diba? But that's not the objective. That's why we want to help them. So you still give options, even if the pregnancy test appears to be negative. And of course, clients also need to see that choices they make have consequences. This is very, very important. In the same way, kasi sorry, but I'm into early childhood. Even when you're talking to children, you also allow them free choice in terms of, all right, what do you think should you do? Should you go out or should you stay in? But you know that when you go out, this is what will happen. And when you stay in, this is what will happen. Now you have to show them consequences. Because sometimes they're just not aware of the consequences or the gravity of the consequence. Pag nalaman nila, biglang, ganun pala yun. And then they can change their minds. Okay, or their original plans or the way they value themselves. Okay, a client with a positive pregnancy test. Okay, these are the options that are being presented to them. First and foremost, that's the first thing that they hear, especially for pregnancies that are not wanted or outside wedlock, all this stuff. So, abortion ang unang sasabihin. So, explain to them what abortion is, the effects, etc. Na hindi ito nagdadalang dugo, kung hindi nagdadalang tao. Diba? At saka the value of life, everything you express. I don't know, sometimes, it may be very graphic, no? But sometimes some clients, you have to understand who your clients are. That's why you have to know them. Sometimes if they see graphic pictures, they change their minds. No? They change their minds. But that's not a hard and fast rule. You have to know your clients first very well. All right? Whatever they are ready and prepared for. So, show them the effects and the consequences if that is the option that they have, if they are planning to take, so that they will see it. Next, option is parenting. They can be a parent. They don't have to get rid of that baby. They can be a parent. And then show them the value of family, the value of having children, the joy of being also sometimes a single parent. So it doesn't matter if you can still continue that and still be a loving parent, and then you can have surrogates or substitutes like your father, the uncle, or whatever to take on the role. Okay, so you have to show them that, the joy and the value of it. And then adoption. This is one area that we are really encouraging, especially for those who don't want to abort. Okay, I will not abort. Me, I don't want it. But I can't be a parent. I cannot. And then you see as you see and listen to the client that physically she's unable to, financially she cannot. So there is the option of adoption. There are so many families who want to have babies but couldn't. And they are just waiting for these children. There are so many. I will share with you my own experience. I am an adoptive mother. I have 2 children. I have a 20-year-old Angel, and he just turned 16. A 16-year-old boy who is also special needs child because he's differently abled. He is deaf. Okay, so I have 2. They were both adopted, and they know they are adopted, and they have given me and my husband such joy, and our family such joy. You cannot imagine the joy that they are giving us. People will often say when you adopt, "Hi, ang swerte naman ng mga batang to." Diba? Kayo ginagawa rin nyo yun diba? You also say that, ang swerte naman ito. Uy, swerte naman ng mga anak mo. Diba? Hindi. Kami, ayoko nga gamitin yung swerte. We are the ones blessed with their presence in our lives. And it is such joy. And even kayo who have your own biological children, be open to adopt. Hindi naman adoption is only for those who cannot have children. It's also for you who have children to take on other children. I always tell my children, and this is what they know, there are 2 things, there are 2 ways by which you can come and belong to a family. Either you are born to it, or you are adopted into it. Dalawa lang yun And that's the same, equal importance. Can you imagine couples like you and me? I have so many friends with biological children who have adopted, and their adoptees are giving them so much joy. There are so many of us who need these babies. And right? So you just have to tell them, don't waste them. They are lives. They're children of God. There's so many who would want to take them into their home. So adoption is something that is very, very crucial and important in our fight for life. Okay, for the negative test clients naman, ito yung mga options. They can continue with their sexual activity. Negative naman di ba? Pwede ulit, di ba? Yung mga ganun. Pwede din na marriage. They will eventually opt to get married. Have sex in marriage, not outside marriage. And then explain all the stuff that goes with that. And then abstinence until marriage for sexual integrity. They should appreciate this as well. And right? Now, how do you handle expressing all those options? Of course, in a very relational way. Okay? Relational, dapat loving, caring, ganun ang mo na matatrust niya, she will trust you enough to listen. Okay. Be factual and be informative. Don't sugarcoat things. Say it as it is. All right? And be informative and objective in your language. No value statements. Okay? Be involved and active in your presentation of options. Know of what you speak of. All right? Yung ganun, importante na naintindihan mo yung sinasabi mo, hindi ka nag-iimbento. Diba? And then be responsive to what you know about the client and her situation from the L step, from listening and knowing that client. Give some inputs on it. Okay. How else? She is the person you want to help. So you need to focus on her, not on herself, not on her mother, not on the boyfriend who got her pregnant. Focus on her. She needs help. She is the one carrying that life in the womb. And be personal, of course. Be loving and caring, and as I said, non-judgmental. Okay, vision and value. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to give you hope and the future. So with this, it is very important for us to realize and for the client to realize that she is valued. She is valued as a human being. And God has a plan for her. Nothing happens by accident. Even that pregnancy is not an accident. There is a reason. And you will help her find out that maybe the reason and the purpose for it is for her to be able to grow and learn as a person, and maybe to bring the child to somebody who may need them. All right? Like me. Okay. The new vision and value that we have, yun yung ipepresent mo sa kanya. Okay. Each helper will approach the vision and value step somewhat differently, even with the same client. This is very important. Okay, you may be presenting it differently per helper. Kasi yung focus mo no, yun yung magva-variate, no? May variation doon. There are no recipes on how to awaken new visions. Walang sure-shot recipe. Praise God if you're able to awaken that person, di ba? Yun nga yung plan as a helper. Okay. This is a very confused person, not knowing where to go, in a crossroad. So since most of them are in that situation, they also have a very negative concept of themselves. They come to you with very poor self-esteem. They come to you with a negative concept of themselves, thinking of themselves as lesser humans, diba? Sinful. All right? The stigma is very strong. But what do we have to teach them? What do they have to understand about who they are as persons and as women? That God is loving, just, and merciful. Okay? This is one very important component that they have to learn and understand. Ka nandun magle-lecture, alam mo, love ka ni God, importante ka. Tapos nagbasa ka pa ng Biblia doon. Bukas yun, hindi ka nababalikan nun. Diba? Remember that? Hindi nababalikan yun. Nag-proselytize ka pa. Diba? Kasi dapat, relihiyon mo ito yung relihiyon mong ganyan. Naku, hindi pwede yun. Hindi ka nababalikan nun. Diba? Alright. It's just important that God, they know through you. They will see God through you. That you're a merciful and a loving person. So, help na God para cross, no? So that this individual can cross over. Alright? How do you say this? You can say, God loves you. Hindi, wala ho akong kwentang tao. Makasalanan ho ako. Even then, God loves you. God loves everyone. That's a gift that we've gotten from Him. Yes, God allows you and all of us to suffer the consequences of bad choices. She just has to understand this is part of the consequence of a bad decision, of a bad choice. And God is merciful and will always be there to forgive us if we just ask Him. All right? You are made in the image of God. This is another concept that you need to get into them. that we are all, okay, made in the image of God. Agree? Because you cannot help if you don't agree with this as well. I suppose we all agree with this. Okay? So then, what can you say? You have great value and dignity because God made you. Fortunately, you got involved in a wrong one, but there is a relationship waiting for you there. All right? There is good news. Ito can be shared with them. There is good news. You have made some bad choices. The truth, what's supposed to be done. But there is good news here. This is how things are planned by God for each one of us. So you just have to let them know that. And of course, very important, no? For these women, they feel guilty and they feel sinful. So they should also understand, especially in the Filipino setting, they're still very, very much into kasalanan sa Diyos. Ginawa ko, nakakahiya, paghagalitan ako na God is a forgiving God. So, if they're you know what the plan of God is for life. Alright? So, yun yung mga realization niya. Kasi iba dyan, ginamit lang ho ako. Ganyang mga to. Yan yung mga maglalapit sa iyo eh. No, these are the things that they will tell you. Okay? Alright. Since our clients, by definition, are almost always involved in bad sexual choices, partly due to never having heard about God's plan for our sexuality, we need to give them support and understanding and knowledge of it. All right? Okay. Children are to be welcomed. This is another important thing. Hindi yung parang, wala naman to eh, dugo lang to. Di ba? Children ought to be welcomed. Children have a very special place in my heart. That's why kalabanin niyo ako. If you will not love the children that God gives you, they are God's greatest gift to all of us. The more children, wow, the more blessings you have from God. All right. God says that children are a blessing. Okay? They don't really, they don't really belong to us but to God. All right? Agree? So they are given to us by God to be taken care of, to be taught in the ways of the Lord, and eventually to bring them back to God. Because at the end of the day, when God receives us in heaven, hopefully in heaven, when He opens the gates of heaven for us and He asks us, oh, okay, I've assigned you to be a mother. Have you brought your children back to me? Can we say yes? Have we trained them well? Have we made them feel God's love in our families and as mothers and as fathers? Because we are accountable to God for these children that He has gifted us with. Sexual intimacy, love, and marriage go together in God's plan. Hindi sexual intimacy without marriage and without love. You don't buy sexual intimacy. It is born out of love for one another, and it is born out of love existing in marriage. Okay? All right. Sex is designed to help create children. Yon. I think you all know this already. You've been into so many teachings already about this, being workers of family and life as well. So this is very important that this be emphasized and be taught. Kasi marami, hindi nila alam ito. Tayo, we're blessed, we know it. But there's so many people outside, young people outside, who are not knowledgeable or aware of this value. They only look at it as blood. And right? They only look at sexuality or sex as pleasurable. That's it. And right? I'll give you an example para medyo my daughter was in college, and then she had this long break. Diba in college, you end your class at 11, sometimes your next class is at 4 o'clock pa, ganyan. So one of her friends told her, can you accompany me to Mercury Drugstore? And then she said, okay, sure. So she accompanied her classmate. And then she was surprised. She told me that, Mom, she bought a condom. And then when she said, what's that condom for? I have a long break. Ano ba, may term sila eh. Hindi yun eh. We'll make out. My boyfriend and I will make out. Because we have a long break. Shocked na ako. Napanganga siya. She told me when she came home. And this is just one. There may be so many others in colleges and universities all around. Because there is no appreciation of what it is supposed to be for. So casual sex is so common. May study nga si Father Joel on that, no? How many percent of college students are into casual sex. Okay. Then you also have to have a vision on redemptive choices. Okay. We cannot redeem our own sins. Jesus has done that for us. But when we make a positive choice, following a bad choice, we do receive back something. Okay, we can share the vision that they have the opportunity now to make a redemptive choice. Hindi ito the end of everything. There is redemption. There is restoration after. And that is what we will help them through. Okay. Of course, Jesus died on the cross to redeem us and to save us. And so He is there to save each and every one of us, even if you made a bad or a wrong choice. All right. That all of us are called back to heaven. Whatever sins we may have committed in life, bad choices we have made, we can ask forgiveness, and a merciful God will be there to take us back. Okay. Prayer, of course. Share the gospel with your clients. Okay, now the last part, extending and empowering. Those who fail to plan can plan to fail. Diba no? Those who fail to plan can plan to fail. All right, we have identified some specific needs. So how do we help and extend help to them? Okay, every client who calls or comes to your center, you can do the pregnancy test, answer a question, do referrals, or if you have medical services within your center, you can already provide and support them in that area as well. In this sense, you and your center are extending help to the client. You need to be familiar with all of the help your own center provides. For those who still do not have, maybe it's time for you to think. PSSA here is here to help you set up your own centers in your own, maybe even in your own parishes, right? So they can help you out in this. Know the services that you have to offer. You can offer. Oops. Okay. If a teenage client is open to sexual, ay hindi, ba't ako nandyan? Nabalik. Okay. All right. These are some of the questions. When can she tell her boyfriend? What kind of behavior does she need to avoid? What will she tell him? These are the things that they are asking of you. And these are the things or answers they need, these are the questions they need answers for. So you help them through. You do not give the answers. You walk them through the answers. All right? Ayan. We'll not go through this. And is the bishop there already? Yes. So we'll be rushing this. Anyway, you'll have your, you'll be having your materials. So in extending help and support to your clients who come to you for help, all you need to do is really to give them and empower them, give them the trust that they need for themselves and the value they need to put into themselves so that eventually they will be able to stand up on their own, make the right choices, make the right decisions. And you need to empower them. Okay? That kaya mo yan. Okay? Kaya natin pare-pareho yan. Alright? Kasi importante for the helper that you are able to gain the trust at ganahan yung client to come back for the next sessions with you. That's very, very important. Alright? Sometimes they give incentive programs, no? Marami pa yan. Tapos your enthusiasm and the trusting relationship is very important for them to see. So in summary, alright, just like you to read through salient points in the love approach. When you listen and learn, these are the things that you ought to value, things that you have to take into consideration. When you listen and learn, I've talked about this already in detail. For opening options, this is again a very important element of it. And for the love, the V portion here, understanding self, appreciating self, prayer, salvation, forgiveness is there. For V, E, extend and empower, because they are special before God. So this is the love approach as briefly as I can give it. If you need further training and information on this, PSSA is more than willing to help you out. If you need to also consider starting your own pregnancy centers in your respective parishes, or maybe run it on a personal capacity, then please, because there are so many women needing this support and needing this help. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is, if you need help, these women come to you for help, all you have to give them is love. Love that encompasses everything. Because we know that love will carry them through, will allow them to cross over now at this point in their lives that they're in crossroads. So praise God. Thank you.